sleepy nirvana. Tonight, set down the need to figure everything out. We're exploring what runs against instinct. What happens when we stop pretending we have answers. You don't know many things right now, and this not knowing is the most peaceful place you'll ever rest. We spend enormous energy trying to know, to predict, to be certain about what comes next. We lie awake running scenarios. We research every decision until our eyes blur. And despite all this effort, life continues to surprise us. The unexpected arrives uninvited. The exhaustion you feel doesn't come from life's difficulty. It comes from gripping what was never yours to hold. Tonight, we sit with the question and watch what unfolds when we stop demanding an answer. The ancient traditions discovered this, practical wisdom about not knowing, lived truth tested across centuries. Uncertainty feels threatening until we stop fighting it. Then it becomes spacious. But mostly, we'll rest here together in the open space that remains when we put down the burden of needing to know. You don't need to know what tomorrow holds, who you'll become, who you are right now. Rest in that open space. You're lying in darkness. You've been carrying the weight of unanswered questions. You're tired of trying to figure everything out. For the next while, you have nowhere to be. No answers required of you. Let's begin where all honest inquiry begins, admitting we stand on shakier ground than we thought. We move through each day as if we know countless things. We know how the morning will unfold, the alarm, the coffee, the familiar routine. We know what people mean when they speak. We steer by these assumptions and never stop to ask whether they're true. Knowing feels solid. We couldn't function without it. We couldn't make decisions or plan our days. But certainty rests on a shaky floor. We don't look down because looking down would disturb our comfortable illusions. We prefer the feeling of solid ground, even when that ground is made of thought. Notice how certainty feels in your body right now. When the mind stops searching, the body settles. It relaxes into the conclusion. Certainty feels like something. It has weight in your body, the way hunger does, or tiredness. You can feel certain and still be wrong. You can doubt yourself and turn out to be right. For centuries, people watched the sun rise and set, convinced it circled the earth. They trusted their eyes. Their eyes deceived them. Aristotle believed heavier objects fall faster than lighter ones. It seemed obvious. Everyone accepted it. Then Galileo dropped 2 weights from a tower, and the obvious turned out to be false. People once knew the earth was flat. They knew diseases came from bad smells. They knew certain groups of people were inferior by nature. Each generation's obvious truth becomes the next generation's embarrassing error. The feeling of knowing, though, stays the same across the ages. You hold beliefs tonight that will look to future generations the way a flat earth looks to you. You might feel a tightening when you hear this. Notice it. We don't like having our certainties questioned. Our minds build reality from fragments. We catch a few details and fill in the rest. A stranger glances our way, and we decide they're angry with us. We read a headline and believe we understand distant events. We spend half a minute with a new acquaintance and invent a whole person from almost nothing. Our ancestors couldn't pause to analyze every rustle in the grass. We inherited that same reactive mind. It spins a waking dream, and we take that dream for the world itself. Our expectations shape what we perceive. We don't see the world as it is. We see the world we expect to see. Show a person a blurry image and tell them it's a rabbit, and a rabbit appears. Tell them it's a duck, and a duck appears. The image hasn't changed, only the mind looking at it. When you meet a stranger, you've decided what they're like before they finish their first sentence. A few data points, and you've built an entire person from them. You walk away confident you know who they are. You brought most of what you perceived with you. Perception happens beneath conscious thought. By the time we notice our conclusions, they already feel like facts. We mistake our thoughts about reality for reality itself. The map becomes the territory. We respond to our accumulated assumptions about the people we love, rather than who stands before us. Your partner says a word, and before they finish speaking, you know what they mean. You know how this conversation will go. You've had it 100 times before. But this moment has never existed until now. Your partner has never said these words quite this way before. Who are they right now, in this breath? It costs energy to stay certain, defending positions, proving ourselves right, avoiding anything that might unsettle what we've decided. This is work. When someone challenges a belief you hold, feel what happens in your body. A tightening, a bracing for argument, even over small things. Which restaurant? Which road home? We invest in our conclusions and then exhaust ourselves guarding them. Certainty can become a prison. Once we've decided we know, we stop looking. We close ourselves to what's here, now. A scholar studies a subject for decades. Deep knowledge, earned authority, and yet that same depth can blind them. What they believe shapes what they see. The beginner has fresh eyes. Nobody told them what's impossible. Nobody told them what's true. So they try things. They notice what is. Breakthroughs often come from outsiders, those unburdened by knowing too much. Feel the weight of needing to be right. When your certainties are challenged, your chest tightens. So much energy goes into protecting your positions. You don't need to be right about everything. Tonight, you don't need to be right about anything. We surround ourselves with promises of certainty. The news tells us what will happen. Experts tell us what to do. And lying here tonight, uncertainty remains. We build elaborate structures to convince ourselves the ground is solid. Culture promises certainty too. Follow these rules and you'll be safe. Believe these things and you'll be saved. We follow the rules and feel unsafe. We believe and feel lost. So we assume we need more rules, more belief. We all pretend to know more than we do. Experts speak with confidence about futures they can't see. Leaders project certainty they don't possess. We go along with it because the alternative frightens us. Our need for certainty is real. Uncertainty is uncomfortable, and seeking solid ground makes sense. But we look for it in the wrong places. Solid ground comes from how we hold not knowing, not from knowing more. Lao Tzu and the Zen monks who followed saw this clearly. They stopped wrestling with uncertainty and found stillness waiting on the other side. The Tao Te Ching opens with a paradox. The Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. What matters most cannot be named. Put it into words, and you've already missed something. Pin it down with a concept, and it slips through your fingers. Words are symbols, concepts are maps. Useful, yes, but never the territory itself. Think of the color blue. You know blue when you see it. Now try describing that experience to someone born blind. You could talk about wavelengths and mention the sky. You could speak of calm feelings. You'd circle around blue forever and never arrive. A finger pointing at the moon can direct your gaze. Stare at the finger and you miss the moon. The Taoist tradition doesn't treat the unknowable as a problem. Thought cannot contain the Tao, yet everything we know pours out of it. Darkness giving birth to light. If the deepest reality can't be known through concepts, then chasing it with thought exhausts you. You could think forever and never arrive at truth. Thought is the wrong tool for this work. Thinking builds bridges. It writes poetry. It plans journeys. But it has limits. Trying to understand ultimate reality through thinking is like trying to taste music or smell mathematics. You're reaching with the wrong sense. The Taoist approach to living follows from this. You stop forcing your way through life with calculated certainty. You move with the flow of things instead. Intuition takes the lead. The process can be trusted even when the path ahead stays hidden. An intelligence in you knows how to breathe without your help. It heals wounds. It digests food. It operates beneath the level of thought. It's older than your conscious mind. What you seek was never going to be found through seeking. Rest for a moment with this idea. No need to grasp at it. In the Zen tradition, there's a concept called Shoshin, beginner's mind. Shunryu Suzuki, who brought Zen to America in the 60s, put it plainly. In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few. The expert knows what works and what doesn't, has learned the right way to do things. This knowledge closes doors. The expert won't try the impossible because they have already decided it's impossible. The obvious goes unseen because they've learned to look past it. The naive question that might lead somewhere new never gets asked. The beginner doesn't know any of this. They carry no preconceptions, no judgments. They can explore and observe reality as it is, without the filter of accumulated knowledge telling them what they should see. Remember learning something for the first time, when everything was fresh and surprising, when each small discovery felt like it mattered. That's beginner's mind. And then there's something you know well. The freshness has faded. You already know what to expect, and the knowing has replaced the experiencing. The practice of beginner's mind is approaching even familiar things with fresh eyes, meeting your partner as though you'd never met, tasting a meal as though food were new to you. Each moment is new. You've never experienced this one before. The person in front of you has never been who they are right now. The practice is noticing what's here, not what we assume based on the past. Suzuki said we should approach life the way a small child does. You keep your adult responsibilities, but you see with eyes that haven't yet decided what matters. The child hasn't learned what's boring. The child hasn't learned what's impossible. Each moment gets full attention because they don't know what comes next. As we gather knowledge, wonder fades. We trade openness for competence, but we lose access to a certain kind of seeing. Gil Fronsdal, a Buddhist teacher of our time, reminds us that knowing and not knowing can exist together. We don't have to become ignorant. We can learn to set aside what we know when it blocks our view. This moment has never existed until now. You can meet it that way. Buddhist teaching points to emptiness. This isn't a void or nothingness. It's recognizing that nothing exists in the fixed, solid way our minds imagine. All phenomena lack inherent existence. The chair beneath you seems permanent, but it's a temporary arrangement of atoms that were once part of a star. Before that, ocean water, and will become those things again. The person you think you are seems continuous, but you're a flowing process, never the same from one breath to the next. Our concepts about things are provisional, never complete. By the time you've mapped the landscape, the ground beneath has shifted. If things don't have fixed essences, then our ideas about them are never final. The conclusion you reached yesterday was about a world that no longer exists. What feels certain now is already becoming the next moment. When we recognize that our ideas are approximations, we hold our thoughts with less grip. We can change our minds without feeling like we're losing ourselves. One Buddhist teaching puts it this way: what we mean by seeing the way things truly are is knowing that things are selfless, knowing how to be aware without the fixation, awareness without belief. The thoughts you have about yourself are not yourself. You are here, present and aware. No concept can capture what you are. Rest in that. Buddhist philosophy draws a sharp line between ignorance and wise not knowing. Ignorance, in the Buddhist sense, is not lack of information. Ignorance mistakes concepts for reality. It grasps thoughts and beliefs as if they were fixed truth. It confuses the map with the territory, the finger with the moon. Wise not knowing moves differently. It stays present without needing to nail everything down, open to revision even while knowing. Ignorance clings to its conclusions. Wise not knowing holds things loosely. Tight views bring suffering when reality contradicts them. Loose views let us adapt. Let us update our understanding without crisis. The invitation here is not to abandon knowledge or become passive. It's a different relationship with what we think we know. We hold it loosely, and we stay curious even about things we've concluded. When we admit we don't know for sure, we stay attentive to new information. Certainty makes us stop looking. The humble approach turns out to be the practical one. Not knowing doesn't mean not caring. You can live without the burden of pretending you have everything figured out. You can understand these teachings in your mind. The wisdom traditions were never only philosophical, though. They offered practices, ways of experiencing the freedom of not knowing through the body, through the breath. Our brains treat uncertainty as danger. The nervous system learned this across countless generations. There's nothing wrong with you for feeling it. For our ancestors, the unknown often meant death. A rustle in the grass could be wind or predator. An approaching stranger might bring friendship or violence. Those who fled from nothing survived. Those who ignored the lion did not. That nervous system still lives in you. Job prospects feel like predators circling. At 3 a.m, you lie alert, watching for dangers that exist only in thought. Modern uncertainty seldom threatens the body. The promotion, the relationship, the economy, none will end your life tonight. But the alarm sounds anyway, treating a worry the same as a tiger. Not knowing settles in the body. Tension gathers in the chest. The throat tightens. The mind races after solutions, reaching for resolution that never arrives. Your nervous system does what it evolved to do. The intention behind it is good. Discomfort in uncertainty is not a failure. It is being human. And nothing in this room requires the vigilance your body offers. Psychologists call this restless need to know what comes next, intolerance of uncertainty. People who carry it feel anxious and depressed. Life refuses to behave, and that refusal wears them down. Perhaps you know it in yourself. The worry that circles back, running through the same scenarios. Decisions frozen while you wait for more information. Staying somewhere that no longer fits because at least you know its shape. Asking for someone to tell you things will be okay. The harder we chase certainty, the more anxious we become. We research, we plan, we seek reassurance, and still we don't feel certain because no one can know the future. Overplanning creates an illusion of control. Gathering more information often freezes us further. Reassurance fades within hours. Avoiding the unknown shrinks our lives. Moving with uncertainty rather than against it, this helps. Adapting to situations as they unfold. Relating more gently to what you cannot know. Intolerance of uncertainty can soften over time. Think of the energy spent trying to control what cannot be controlled. You rehearse conversations before they happen. You imagine how things might go. You prepare for possibilities that may never arrive. You watch for signs of trouble. This drains you. The energy spent worrying could go toward living, toward resting. The illusion of control increases suffering. When we believe we should be able to control outcomes. We blame ourselves when things go wrong. We carry weight that was never ours to carry. We feel responsible for things that were never within our power. You spend so much energy managing what others think of you, choosing words with care and presenting yourself in certain ways, wondering how you came across. But you cannot control another person's thoughts. And still we exhaust ourselves in the attempt. We prepare for scenarios that never happen. We worry about outcomes we cannot influence. So much effort spent trying to guarantee results that depend on countless factors beyond our reach. Somewhere along the way, we learned to feel responsible for things beyond our control. We came to believe that if we just plan enough, we can make the uncertain certain. We cannot, and recognizing this brings release. You can't control the wind, but you can adjust your sails, and sometimes you can rest and let the boat drift. Tonight, you control almost nothing. The world continues without your management, and here you are, still breathing, still present. Less is required of you than you've been told. We often see the ability to tolerate not knowing as a weakness, but it is a form of strength. Being present with difficult experiences without being overwhelmed. Accepting what can't be changed without giving up. This is the middle way. Think of the flexible reed and the rigid oak. In a storm, what survives is not what resists most strongly, but what bends without breaking. The oak that refuses to give may be uprooted. The reed that bends with the wind remains rooted. This flexibility asks you to experience discomfort, not to seek it out or pretend to enjoy it, but to stop running from it. The discomfort of uncertainty is unpleasant, yes, but not dangerous. You can feel it and still function. You can feel it and still live well. You can step back from thoughts rather than being fused with them. Your thought that a terrible thing might happen is just a thought, a mental event you can watch come and go. You can observe your own mind spinning with uncertainty and notice, there's my mind doing its uncertainty thing. Space opens between you and the spinning, and choice becomes possible. When we stop spending energy fighting reality, we have more available for responding to it. Resting in not knowing, letting the unknown be. We've spoken about not knowing. Now we can feel it. The body knows this place before the mind does. At first, there's a moment of groundlessness. The handholds you relied on vanish. The solid ground turns out to be air. The mind scrambles for a conclusion, a plan. But if we stay with it, if we don't reach for the next handhold, the groundlessness doesn't destroy us. We float. Floating here, you may notice how much room there is. Where you once held certainty, now there's space. You've set down the burden of needing to know. When we're not busy knowing, we become more available to what's here. Perception opens, colors sharpen. The present moment comes into focus. There's an aliveness in not knowing. The mind awake and soft, like a cat watching a mouse hole. Notice right now. The next thought, you don't know where it will come from. Thoughts appear unbidden from a place you cannot reach. And here you are, present for whatever arrives. The next sound, the next moment, you meet them anyway. Not knowing feels like this. Rest here for a moment. You don't need to figure anything out. There's a concept in yoga called Ishvara Pranidhana, surrender to a higher source, releasing the grip. When we surrender this way, the tension we carry loosens. What we've been holding through, sheer will begins to dissolve. We keep our agency and our values while we stop fighting reality. Notice the physical dimension of this. Your shoulders softening, your belly letting go. You don't surrender once and stay surrendered. You let go, then find yourself gripping again. The mind has been holding tight for years. One insight won't make it stop. So you notice and soften. You catch the grip and open your hand. This breath, then the next. When you stop fighting what can't be changed, that exhausting struggle ends. The energy flows elsewhere, toward what you can touch and move. Between thoughts, there are gaps. We focus so hard on what thoughts say that we miss the silence holding them. Between every thought, a fraction of a second. And in that gap, no knowing. Just awareness, open and present, before the next concept forms. Notice a thought arising now. Watch it pass. It came and stayed a while. Then it left. Awareness resting in itself. Under all our knowing, there is a ground of not knowing that we can rest in. We don't have to create it. We just have to stop filling it with thoughts long enough to notice. As you relax toward sleep, thoughts become softer, less insistent. The spaces between them grow longer. The grip of knowing loosens. You don't know what you're thinking anymore. You don't know where you are. And this is restful. The body has been wanting this all day, to dissolve into what lies beyond thought. There's a difference between trust and certainty. Certainty is a mental state, a feeling of knowing. Trust is a relationship, a willingness to move forward without guarantees. We trust constantly without noticing. We trust the floor will hold us when we stand. We trust the sun will rise tomorrow. We trust our hearts will keep beating. We can't be certain of any of this. But we proceed as if these things are reliable. Life asks for the same trust. We can't know that everything will turn out as we wish. But we can hold a quiet confidence that we can meet what comes. Awareness is here now. It has remained through every season of your life, through grief and sleepless nights, and you are still here. We cannot force ourselves to trust, but we can notice where trust already lives in us. We can rest there. Tomorrow is unknown. But you've met every previous tomorrow. What was once uncertain became your life. Resting in not knowing changes how we live. It changes how we love. And we see this most clearly in our relationships. How do we see a person as they are now, not as we once knew them? The people you've known for years, you've already decided what they're like. You've filed them away in your mind. So you respond to your idea of them, built from moments that no longer exist. The person you're relating to is a memory. They get trapped in who you think they are. When they change, you still see the old version. When they act in new ways, you read it through what you already believe. You've closed the door on being surprised. And you get stuck too, the one who knows them, the one who has them figured out. Beginner's mind can reshape how we meet the people closest to us. Even those you've known for decades deserve fresh eyes. You're not pretending you don't know them. You're admitting that your understanding always lags behind who they're becoming. This gives others room to be different than they were. Bring to mind a person you know well, one you feel certain about. Hold them in awareness and notice the assumptions that surface, what you believe about them, where you've placed them in your mind. Set those aside, see what remains. You can't know them, not all of them. Picture your next encounter with them. There may be things you notice for the first time. Knowing interferes with listening. When we think we know what a person means, we stop hearing them. We're already forming our reply while they're still speaking, already interpreting before we've received. Remember being heard, the rare gift of open attention, receiving without an agenda. Most conversations are two people taking turns waiting to speak. But we can let go of preparing what we'll say next. We can receive what's offered. Tomorrow, in your next conversation, try this for 30 seconds. Let the other person's words land without fitting them into what you already believe. When we're not busy preparing our reply, the other person senses this. The conversation goes places neither of you planned. In your next conversation, let go of the need to say anything wise or helpful. Just listen. We spend so much energy guessing what others think of us. We watch their faces, read every glance. We bend ourselves into shapes we hope will please them. But we can never see inside another person's mind. What we believe they think of us is a story we've written ourselves. We gather small clues and fill in the rest with our own fears. When we resist this not knowing, we fill the silence with dark interpretations, judgments no one has made, whole dramas about their opinions. And then we suffer from plays of our own making. Admitting we don't know is freedom. I don't know what they think of me. I can't know. So I'm released from the prison of guessing. When we stop performing for others, we can be ourselves. We arrive as we are. And whatever comes back to us, comes back. If you don't know what others think, you're left with what you think. Even your own thoughts can be held loosely. You don't need certainty about what you think of yourself. There's a paradox at the heart of intimacy. We want to know and be known. We want to understand our partners, our friends, our family. We want them to understand us. But if we knew everything about another person, where would the mystery go? Mystery is part of what draws us to one another. Relationships grow stale when we stop being curious. When we believe we know everything about a person, we stop discovering them. The connection loses its breath. We're relating to a fixed image rather than a living being. No matter how close we become, there remains a place in another person we cannot reach. We can never enter their experience or understand their inner world in full. Intimacy means being close to mystery, resting near it with respect and curiosity. When we accept this, we remain with a living being who changes. We keep discovering them. The people closest to you remain mysteries. You don't know their dreams. You don't know what they fear in their secret hearts, or who they will become. And this not knowing isn't distance. Love continues to move there. Our relationships with others mirror our relationship with ourselves. The openness we've been resting in can turn inward now, toward the question of who we are. We can hold our own identity, our own story, with the same gentleness. You build a self through story, a tale about who you are, where you came from. Some memories fit the narrative, so those stay. Others drift away. From the chaos of experience, a character takes shape. This story holds you together. It lets you face others and yourself. But so much gets left out. No telling can hold all of you. The contradictions you carry refuse the neat arc, so you simplify. And the story can become a prison. I'm not the kind of person who... You say this until it becomes prophecy. I've always been... And now you drag a cage long after the bars rusted away. The self you think you know is made of thought and story. Peel back the layers and you find more layers. No fixed core waits underneath. We do the self. We keep weaving who we are through memory and the quiet tales we tell ourselves. Stop the weaving and the weaver fades too. You are different now than you were this morning. The one who began listening is not the one listening now. Cells have changed. Thoughts have drifted off. Before you learned your name, before anyone told you the story of yourself, awareness was already here. That has not changed. Rest for a moment without your story, without trying to be anyone. There's a quiet anxiety in not knowing who we'll become. The future stretches ahead, and we cannot see it. We don't know what will happen, who will be in 5 years, how our life will unfold. So we plan, we set goals, construct a future self, and try to make it real. But when we grip too tightly to a predetermined path, we miss what doesn't fit. We force ourselves into shapes we've outgrown. Not knowing holds its own freedom. A chance encounter shifts everything. An insight arrives and reorients your understanding. Life rarely asks permission. You don't need to know who you'll become. Be present for who you are now. The future unfolds from here. Beneath all the changing content, thoughts and feelings, sensations and circumstances, there is awareness itself. Awareness stays. You have been aware your whole life. What you were aware of has shifted endlessly. You carry a different body than you did as a child. Your thoughts have transformed. The people around you, the places you call home, all different now. But awareness, the knowing that is here to experience all this change, stays. Think back to a vivid memory from childhood. Remember what it was like to be there, inside that moment. Everything was different then. Different body, different world. And yet, that quality of being aware was there too. Awareness has no fixed qualities. Experience appears within it, and here it is now. The content of life stays uncertain, always changing, but awareness itself is reliable. Here, now. This awareness doesn't know anything in particular. It's open, present. You are this knowing without needing to be a knower. Right now, you are aware. You don't produce awareness. You are awareness. Rest here. There's a Zen phrase, being nobody, going nowhere. Most hear nihilism. The masters meant freedom. Think about the effort required to be somebody. You maintain an identity, defend positions, prove worth. The weight of it exhausts you. Culture pressures us to be somebody special. We measure ourselves against images we've collected and find gaps. We chase versions of ourselves that seem better than what we are. You don't need to be anybody in particular. Being is already complete. Going nowhere doesn't mean passivity or stagnation. It means presence. Not reaching toward some future state, but resting in this moment. In a world that tells you to do more and have more, you are already enough. Not for what you've accomplished, but for what you are. Tonight, you have nowhere to go, nothing to become. This breath, this awareness is the whole of it. We have explored not knowing as it touches certainty, relationships, the self. The most practical dimension remains, living with uncertainty, acting and deciding when we know so little. We must make decisions. Most of the time we don't have the information we'd like, and the consequences can be heavy. The trouble is that waiting for certainty can lead to paralysis. A choice postponed forever. Years passing while we search for the right answer. There is another way. Act from presence rather than waiting for certainty. Move from your best understanding while staying open to being wrong. Gather what information you can. Consider what might happen. Proceed with care. Don't pretend to know more than you do. Admit you're making your best guess and go forward anyway. Acknowledging that you don't know for sure keeps you attentive to new information. Course adjustments come easier. You feel your way through rather than defending a fixed position. Make the best decision you can with what you have. Then let go of the outcome. Results live beyond your reach. Intentions and actions, those belong to you. If a decision weighs on you now, let it rest. It will still be there tomorrow. Tonight, you don't need to decide anything. The Taoist concept of Wu Wei often becomes non-action in translation, but that misses the point. Wu Wei means acting without strain, moving with what is, not against it. Wu Wei isn't doing nothing. It's doing without forcing, like water finding its way downhill. In the pause, in the resting place of not knowing, clarity shows up on its own. The response you need arrives. You don't have to figure it out. You felt this, an athlete in the zone, a musician lost in the music, action without deliberation. This becomes possible once overthinking stops. Once you trust yourself enough to act before the analysis finishes. The situation guides the response. Pause before acting. Listen before speaking. Right action finds its own way. Admitting ignorance carries a weight off the shoulders. I don't know, instead of pretending. Those who think they already know stop learning. I don't know is where inquiry begins. Uncertainty can feel exposed, but honesty earns more trust than false confidence. Hold your views lightly. Revision is always welcome. Being wrong is allowed. Keep breathing. I don't know can be a complete response. You don't always need an answer. The most honest thing you can offer is acknowledgement of your own limits. Next time you're asked about what you don't know, try saying so. Notice how this feels. Notice how it changes the conversation. When we don't know what will happen, anything might happen. This frightens us. It also opens doors we couldn't have planned for. When we know exactly how our life will unfold, there's no room for surprise. No chance to be caught off guard by something good. The artist facing a blank canvas doesn't know what will emerge. That not knowing is where the painting comes from. The same is true for any life. The poet Keats called it negative capability, the willingness to remain in uncertainty and doubt without grasping after fact and reason, a capacity that can be cultivated. What you don't know about your future includes gifts you can't imagine. What remains unknown leaves room for grace. Now, rest more deeply. Let the concepts fall away. Let experience remain. We shift into a more meditative mode now. The words become fewer. The space between them widens. Bring attention to the experience of thinking itself, the way thoughts arise, linger briefly, then pass. You don't decide to have a thought and then have it. Thoughts appear on their own. There's silence, then a thought arrives. You didn't summon it. Thoughts can arise and pass without your engagement. You don't chase every sound you hear. Thoughts can be the same. Let them drift by. Imagine awareness as the night sky outside your window. Thoughts drift through like clouds passing across the moon. You are that sky, allowing clouds to pass. A thought arises. Let it be. It passes. The sky of awareness stays open. Rest in the space between thoughts. No need to fill it. Bring attention now to the body, the felt sense of being here, in a body. The body knows things the mind doesn't. It breathes without instruction. It heals wounds without planning. A wisdom older than thought runs through it. The body exists only now, even when the mind has wandered into memory or anticipation. Notice the weight of the body on the surface beneath it, the places where you make contact with the bed, the floor, the chair. The body is being held. You don't have to do anything to be held. The air touches your skin, cool or warm. The body knows this before any thought arrives. Breath moves in and out. It has done so your whole life. It will continue. You don't have to do anything. The body doesn't know in the way the mind does. The body breathes, beats, rests. No thinking required. Sound, whatever surrounds you now. We label sounds. That's traffic. That's wind. That's a voice. We know what we're hearing. Listen without labeling. Hear sound as pure sensation before the mind names it. Sounds arise in stillness. They come and go. The silence beneath them remains. The space between sounds, moments of silence full of presence. Listen without knowing what you hear. Let sound be sound. Rest in the listening. Soften now. Release effort. Release the need to do anything at all. Thoughts become softer, less insistent. The spaces between them grow longer. The grip of knowing loosens. Where you are, what comes next, you don't need to know, and this is fine. Let go of following these words. Let them wash over you like water. You don't need to remember anything. You don't need to understand anything. Rest. If sleep comes, let it come. If you remain awake, that's fine too. Not knowing is a place we return to again and again. The mind grasps and concludes. This is what minds do. One night of listening won't undo a lifetime of habit. The practice is gentle returning. When you've slipped into false certainty, soften back into openness. The grasping loosens. Release comes. Weave this into daily life. A pause here and there. A questioned assumption. An honest admission that you don't know. You'll forget. You'll grasp again. This happens. When you catch yourself, come back as many times as it takes. Not knowing teaches compassion. We understand so little. Humility follows. Forgiveness comes easier. Certainty makes us harsh with those who see things differently. But holding our views loosely leaves room for others. You don't know why you are the way you are, why certain struggles keep returning. I don't know either, so we might be gentler with ourselves. The people around us carry more than we can see. A sharp word from a stranger, a friend's sudden distance. They act from wounds invisible to us. We don't know the full story of anyone's life. We barely know our own. Forgiveness lives in that humility. When you catch yourself judging, pause. You don't know the whole story. You don't know what you'd do standing where they stand. Rilke once wrote that we should live the questions themselves. Let them work on us slowly instead of rushing toward answers. A question can become a companion. Who am I? What is this? What matters? Not puzzles to solve. They walk with us. Let yourself live with questions. We started by noticing how much you don't know. Now, at the end, notice what that opens in you. Ancient sages and modern researchers point the same direction. Stillness, connection, selfhood, action. All of it leads to the peace that waits when we stop pretending to know what can't be known. Tomorrow, certainty will call again. The mind will offer conclusions and confident predictions. You can meet that moment with openness. You don't need to know what tomorrow holds or who you'll become. You are enough right now. Rest in the freedom of unknowing. Let the questions rest. Let everything be still. The bed holds you. Breath continues without your effort. Life has carried you this far and asks nothing more. Trust that and rest. Sleep in the peace of unknowing. Wake with fresh eyes. Meet tomorrow as a beginner, curious about what you'll find. And when you reach for certainty, remember you can always return here, to openness and to rest. Until next time, from Sleepy Nirvana.